there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent Training. Happy Friday. Normally at this time we do our live Friday question and answer class. This week, instead of live class, I'm going to be covering a number of words for you, and these are all words that have been requested as part of our Word of the Day series. I've had so many requests. It's great. Keep those coming, but I'm quite behind. So people have been waiting a long time to hear about their words. So I'm going to go through a number of those words today. You can use the description of this video to see which words I'm going to be covering and at what time. But I do encourage you to watch all the way through because you might find out that certain information about words that you thought were not a problem, you might notice or learn something new about those words. Oftentimes when I'm making videos for the Word of the Day series, I notice something about a word that I hadn't realized was there and what makes it challenging to pronounce. So our first word that was requested that I haven't yet covered and I'm covering today is the word past. And the viewer requested the word past as in it's in the past, it already happened, the noun. But the pronunciation of this past and this past tense verb past are both the same. So they both have the vowel a and an st sound. So that shows you in American English we can spell the st sound with the st, but in a word like pass and past, or I'm trying to think of another s, guess and guessed, for example, this ed says t. That's because the s is voiceless. So when I add ed to make something past tense, if it's after a voiceless sound, it is a T sound rather than a D sound. So to try that in a couple of sentences, I passed on that opportunity in the past. He passed me the syrup. That's in the past. Okay, for our next request, we had the word clingy. And this word has the ng sound in the middle and the first syllable stress. So cling is long and e is short. And the ng letters make just one sound in this word. So you don't want anything like clingy. You don't want a g or a g sound. You just want the ng sound. It might be helpful to try the word cling. Make sure you end on the ng sound. Don't let your tongue drop to make a g. Cling. You can look at my video for how to pronounce ng and words that end with ng to help you with that. And then I have to glide from the cling into the e. Clingy. So one thing you might notice is as you're trying to add that e, a little g sound might sneak in there like clingy. To avoid that, just go cling and then make sure that your tongue goes from that ng shape into the e shape without dropping abruptly and inserting that g unintentionally. So clingy. To use the word clingy in a sentence, she broke up with him a month ago because he was getting too clingy. Okay, so next word that was requested is the word sincerely. And this is something that we use in writing and also in speaking. So sincerely has 3 syllables and the middle syllable is stressed. So if I were to see the IPA, I would see it as sin. I would put the mark before my stressed syllable, sincerely. Thinking about that ear diphthong is probably going to help you in this word. Spelled here with ere, just like in the word here. We don't really say, that is more about spelling and making sure that we say the ear sound, but watch out for it's not going to be sincerely. We don't have that other syllable. So rewriting it, sincerely, short, long, short. I'm sincerely grateful for all of the good suggestions that everyone has given for pronunciation. I'm sincerely encouraging you to practice in some short phrases once you can say the word by itself. All right. Our next word will be the word piety. Pronounce piety, piety. We have 3 syllables in piety, and we have first syllable stress. So the pi syllable is stressed. It's just like the word pie, like the baked good. Pie, and then the letter E represents the I sound. Pie. I'll write it with a D, piety, because this T is a flap. It's between 2 vowel sounds, and oftentimes in American English we make those into more of a light D sound, flap T. Piety, piety. Thinking of it as the word it to help you with this vowel sound, piety, first syllable stress, piety. And then our next word is the word courtesy. So we have a lot of words in so far that are ending with our letter Y, our E sound. And one typical accent pattern for words that end in E is that people have difficulty making that E tense but unstressed. So looking particularly at words like piety, itty, where I have to do that lax I and the tense E, I'll often hear piety with 2 tense vowels or piety with 2 lax vowels. So you might want to just practice the itty portion of that and other words to help you. Courtesy, courtesy has first syllable stress. And even though it looks like the word court, which is something we recently covered in a video about horse, course, and court, it sounds like curt. So it has the vowel rather than the or any other diphthong. So just going from your cur to be able to get this correctly, courtesy, courtesy. This, I do hear this as a flap or as a regular aspirated T. So you can say courtesy, courtesy. Oftentimes, because it's between 2 vowels, Americans will use that more as a light D or a flap T sound, courtesy. Curtis. And then I would say this vowel here is probably a schwa, like an courtesy, courtesy. Or a lax if vowel, courtesy, courtesy. Most important, long, short, short. As a courtesy, I'll tell you more about that thing that happened. I really appreciate it when people show each other courtesy. I think we need more courtesy in our country and in the world towards one another. Okay, so if you're just joining now, today is not a live class like I usually do on Fridays. What I'm doing instead is covering a number of words from our Word of the Day requests that have gotten backlogged so that people who've been requesting words can see and get some help with those words. And I'll be continuing to do the Word of the Day series and probably some additional videos where I'm covering a number of words to get a little bit closer to being caught up. Right now I'm working on words that came in still over the summer, and it's almost the end of the year. So thank you for waiting patiently for your words, and I haven't forgotten about you. I will cover your word eventually. So our next word is the word punctual. So looking at this word, punctual, I have to check the spelling, punctual. This word has a pattern that I often hear people having difficulties with. Similar words, gradual, graduation, spiritual, that this UAL is pronounced differently in American English than in some other dialects of English. So let's break down punctual and talk about it. First of all, it has first syllable stress, so the pung syllable is long. Punctual. We have a little KT sound in there, but we make a stopped K, and so we're not really saying punctual. We just stop the air to mark that stop, and then we move into the the next sound. So if I write it out with IPA, I'm going to have my stress marker. My vowel schwa sounds like pung. Then this N, pun, it's not an N, it's the letter N is actually the NG sounds in this word, pung, rather than punctual. So the back of my tongue should be lifting. If I were to write that out in a way that looks more like how we spell sounds, it would be like this, pung. And then punctual. I'm not going to really put the K, I guess I will put the K in there, but don't worry about making that K come out. I'm just going to stop there after my NG, punk. And then this T, chew, punk, chew, is more of a CH sound. So I would probably write chew like this, or I might write a CH and a U, because that's the air pattern that I mentioned earlier, where often people might say it more like punctual, with just an oo, and you need the glide, punctual. And then lastly, we end with that syllabic L. It's got a little schwa before it. So punctual. Long, short, punctual. And then I do think that's the correct way, punctual. But in connected speech, if I'm saying, he's very punctual, this chuo gets so fast, punctual, that it almost might become just a CH and a dark syllabic L, punctual. Probably easier to say it correctly, punctual, with all of the different sounds, because there's a lot going on in this word. It's actually a very challenging word. So thank you for your request of that word, punctual. This is one of the ones where I didn't think it over before I wrote it out, and looking at all of the sounds and what's going on there, no wonder you requested it. It's quite challenging. Couple example sentences. I try to be punctual when starting my YouTube classes, so you know when to expect me. Some of these videos are not very punctual, but I have been working through in order received. So if you've been waiting a long time, your video is probably coming up very soon. Great. Let's do a couple more in this sort of extended word of the day, non-live Friday class. I won't be back live next Friday either, because it will be Christmas Day, and I'm thinking that many of you who watch will be doing something else that day, so it might not be the best day to have class, but I will have a word of the day video for you, and possibly another lengthy Friday extra word of the day class, so that you can watch it whenever is convenient for you, either when it premieres at 12 o'clock Seattle time, like our normal class, or later on if you're busy celebrating a holiday or doing something else at that time. Then the following Friday is New Year's Day 2021. So I will be live that day, I believe. You can check the channel page to see. And of course, I will always post on community about my plans. But I think New Year's Day might be a great day to devote a little time to working on speech and accent, to answering some questions. Many of you may be also celebrating that day, but these days, even though 2020 will officially be over that day, we still will be probably staying at home and maybe not going out and doing the same types of things we would have done to celebrate the New Year's in the past. So let's make good use of this time and do some work on pronunciation. Why not? Okay, let's do a couple more words. So our next word that we're going to cover is the word minority. So for the word minority, we have 3 syllables. And look, here's another of our ity words with our ity ending. This is definitely something that comes up a lot. We have many words in our word of the day series that end with this. So minority has second syllable stress. The first syllable sounds like my. It has the diphthong I. So in the IPA, we would see it like this. Minority. In the dictionary, if they write it with IPA, they'll use a T, but I rewrite it sometimes with a D so that you know it's that flap sound and that it's voiced. And then minor, the nor is a stress syllable. So minority, 4 syllables. This is a case where the OR letters do say the or diphthong. So you may want to start building the word from or, nor, minor, minority. It's different than the word minor. In the word minor, the OR says ER, and it has first syllable stress. So minor versus minority. There are oftentimes words that look alike, are similar, but they have different vowel sounds and different syllable stress. So it's useful to be able to break it down and discover, oh, maybe I was saying minority, something more like minority, or maybe I was trying to say minor instead of minor when using this word. Some examples for these words. They can't vote yet. She can't vote yet because she's a minor. That group is currently in the minority. They have the minority opinion. The majority rules over the minority in that government. Okay, great. So let's cover 2 or 3 more words and then we'll wrap it up for today. And as I said, next Friday we'll also have a similar class. We'll be continuing with our Word of the Day series, and we'll have some of our Sunday member-only question and answer classes as well. I'll check your availability, members, and hopefully you'll have some questions for me and you'll be able to attend some of those classes throughout the end of 2020. And then, of course, in 2021, we'll be continuing with our regular Friday live question and answer classes. So thank you for waiting for your words and waiting for your questions. All right, let's do one more word. And this word is one that I had to look up because I wasn't familiar with it. It's an academic word and or a phrase, and it comes from Latin. And the phrase is interalia. Interalia. It has stress on the second word, alia, that's the prime stress in the phrase. Inter has first syllable stress, so inter alia. And you're not going to exaggerate the A quite that much, but it has the A diphthong, and then an E for lia, Lia is lia. Inter has 2 possibilities. I can either say inter with a clear T, or a lot of Americans take words like international, internet, and they leave that T out. They say it more like inner. I would say probably in interalia, you might want to use the T simply because it's a Latin word. Although if you're hearing people saying interalia versus interalia, you can adopt what people around you use. This type of academic term, you might be a little more exact with your T rather than going for inner, like you do with interview or internet. Again, when I'm telling you what Americans do, I'm typically going to give you something that's acceptable, used in professional speech. If it's something that's casual that you don't want to use in professional speech, I'll point that out. And you can say your exact T sounds. You don't have to do these reductions and changes that Americans do, but it's helpful to know about them because they do contribute to the overall fluency of the American accent. And oftentimes, when you see the spelling of a word and it doesn't really match what you're hearing around you, it's hard to know what's correct and what to do. And if you look in the dictionary, it's not always going to tell you that people say internet instead of internet. That's a personal choice, and both are acceptable. You can use what's best for you. All right, thank you for attending today's non-live Friday class. We'll have another non-live Friday class next Friday on Christmas Day. And then New Year's Day, we'll be back with our live question and answer class. I'll be back again tomorrow with another Word of the Day video. And do feel free to leave your requests and comments on this video or any of my videos. I'll add your words to my list. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye guys. See you tomorrow.